So welcome to the Business Spotlight Series. My name's Mark McNulty. I'm president of Action Coach Bluegrass in Southern Indiana. And today I have Abbie Fish, founder of Swim Like a Fish, as my guest. Today we're going to be talking about their business, journey to business ownership, challenges, best practices, and share a peek into what it's really like to own a business. So if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to like it and subscribe so that you see future interviews as they drop. So Abbie, welcome and thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity.
And who do we have with us as our guest?
We've got my hairless cat, Ava, that's going to be
Ava.
walking across the screen. She's living her best life as a 10-year-old.
So awesome. That's great. Well, welcome Ava as well. So Abbie, tell us a little bit about your background and, and your business and how it came to be a business.
Yeah, so I swam through my childhood years. I also swam in college. Never set out to be a business owner, was not the plan. Was going to go to physical therapy school. Wanted to stay in line with athletics, but I also enjoyed healthcare and helping people. And I started coaching coincidingly with getting hours and just getting ready to apply to PT school. And I liked it, but I still wasn't sold on like the lifestyle of it. So yeah, I decided that I might as well try the coaching route and see if it's something that I could continue to do, give it a chance. And I've never left. I never went to PT school.
So great. So are you the sole owner, founder?
Yep. Yeah, so I started my own business in 2019, about 6 months prior to COVID. And I was working online, kind of doing a digital side of this like virtual coaching, which is a big part of Swim Like a Fish. It's not only in-person swim coaching, but we've got like a plethora of training plans and different downloads and things you can buy through our website. I was doing this with a partner from 2016, 2017 to 2019, and then I branched off and decided, it's time. And I'm glad that I did, because like the short version to the longer answer is I never expected to be a business owner. I didn't have a background in owning a business. I didn't even really know how you would do any of this. So being quite young and deciding, well, we're going to try it. We're going to see how I can do solo. It's been a lot of learning and then revising and then redoing with our practices and what we're putting out there and what we're trying to get done and accomplish.
So tell us a little bit about your leadership and team structure now.
Yeah, so I work with like a team of anywhere from 10 to 12 people. Sometimes it fluxes per year. At first, it was like a handful of people. When I decided to finally like open up the veil and get some people in that were all friends. And I learned a lot about not always intertwining personal relationships with a business. And that was a good lesson. So now it's the prerequisites is, hey, you must understand swimming, because we're backbone is competitive swimming. We try to help swimmers and swim coaches learn and improve through stroke technique education. So everyone has some sort of connection piece there, but it's been putting the right people in the right seats. So it's like, if you're a data analyst, you better be really good at data analytics, but you got to understand swimming. So it's been a better delegating process on my side, and then also means that I have to do less management, which is quite nice too.
Okay, great. So you're the founder. So what's your current role in the business other than being the owner? What are all the different hats you're wearing?
Yeah, so I feel like it's always big picture things. So I run the strategy behind, our marketing campaigns, and then also like the products that we're building. A lot of that is coming out of my head, and then we delegate it out to get it available and done. So a lot of it it's kind of like I'm that content digital creator that's turned into a brand. And so the direction that the brand is going is a lot of where I sit and feel within the swimming world is a good place. And then we test it out. We see how it goes. We push it. We see how our audience receives it. We take that information and then we go back to the drawing board as kind of our approach, I would say.
Okay. So I'm going to pause real quick because I've got a cough really, really bad. So This is why I have video editors. They'll cut all this out. Got something caught in my throat.
Yeah, you're good.
All right. So great. So what makes you, so who is your target market for this? Is it the coaches? Is it the swimmers? Is it both?
It can be kind of both, because especially when you're dealing with athletes, age group swimmers that are under the age of 18, you're going to be talking to the parent too. So we don't necessarily have a particular age demographic. It's just a swimmer who wants to get better within the pool. So they're a competitive swimmer, competitive lap swimmer. And then we can either help them, right? Or we can help the other parts of their triangle, which is what I call it, parent or coach, depending on who is involved in their process. There are athletes out there now, given the internet and how much you can kind of download and do, that don't go to like an organized, structured workout with other swimmers, like they're doing it on their own. So I could be their primary coach, or I'm just someone who is working with someone else's primary coach, and we're kind of enhancing the feedback, the videos, what they're getting through their current program.
So do you have competition in this space? Is this a competitive space for your services?
I would say when I first started, no, because it was kind of pre-COVID, and like I would tell my dad, who worked for GE for 40 plus years, I'm running a webinar today, and he'd be like, what's a webinar? So we were kind of like before the world kind of caught up with it. Now I would say that there are other people, but we don't always overlap with what we're doing. I'm really heavily involved on the biomechanical side. So I do a lot of analysis of someone's body through water and testing on speed levels and drag forces to see like how we can reduce, the bad stuff and improve the good stuff to get them to a faster time. And there are other people, but they may be doing it more from a nutrition perspective or a strength and conditioning perspective. I think it's all necessary. But it's just more people have popped up, given the fact that I think a lot of people understand now or have the ability to build digital aspects to their own businesses.
Okay. So marketing. So, how do you market your company?
Mainly through social media is how it started. Organic social media marketing, just kind of putting stuff out there, seeing what people enjoyed, seeing what people digested, has been a fun game for me. I've always just thought that is interesting to see what goes viral and why. And then from there, we've gotten more strategic around our strategy on, okay, this part of the year, we're going to push this product because it makes sense within this training cycle, etc. So yeah, email and social media is our primary two drivers of marketing.
Okay. So, do you track? So how do you track your marketing? So you know where leads come from, where business comes from, and have data and analytics behind your marketing.
Yep, yeah, we've got like a Facebook Pixel, Google Analytics. We've got our CRM software carries their own analytics. Obviously, social media does too. So once we got bigger, right, like that was another hire we had to make. We needed to put someone in that role that is actually looking at the stuff that we're putting out and looking for, correlations and causations between things. I love that stuff. I really am math science oriented personally. But yeah, as you asked before, like, what do I do? I would love to do everything, but there's only so much time in the day. So when someone else is like, you should do this again because it did this, this, and this, it is like very linear in my brain. I'm like, okay, cool, we'll go get it done.
Okay, excellent. So at what point in your journey did it click? Did it kind of click that, hey, this could be a really good big business career versus side hustle
Yeah, it took me about 3 years. I was doing a normal traditional swim coaching job coincidingly with building this. And so it was a passion project is how I would best describe it when I first launched. And I first launched under the pretense of I just want to see how it goes. So we didn't have any sort of like KPIs or, this is how much I want to make this year. It was like, if we make anything or like a little bit more, I'm happy. And so then 3 years into it, we grew substantially just through word of mouth and what people have been downloading. So we got great reviews. And so the business just all of a sudden took another step forward, also in revenue that I was kind of debating then. I was like, should I give up this stable job and kind of go into the unstable world? Like, you never really know what's going to happen when you're self-employed. And I stuck around for about another year. And then I was like, all right, this is too much to manage also being in multiple places at once for me personally, that it was time. So yeah, 3 to 4 years that it was like, okay, this is a real thing. And even my parents, like my dad's always kind of been my biggest supporter and critic at the same time. He was like, it is time. And I was like, oh, if you say so, then it is.
Okay, great. So when you made that decision and you started, what were some of the early challenges that you had to overcome? Because this is a very common story I hear theme on how lots of entrepreneurs start out.
Yeah.
That critical mass point, and it's like, no, this is it. This is my thing.
Mhm.
And then and magically, once you make that decision, that's when that first barrier pops up.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, the hardest thing at first was like I'm pretty structured as a human, right? Like I go to the gym at a certain time. I'm normally pretty cadence flowed within my routine. So I have these windows where I'm like, I can work. But when it was my only thing and there wasn't something like pushing me at 5 o'clock to get out or be somewhere else, I got a little bit more almost ADHD. Like I was like, oh, I need to get this done. And then I need to get this done, that I was all over the place. And then when I would sit down at the end of the day, I'm like, what did you actually get done today? Like it was a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So I've gotten better at understanding the things that are like on the to-do list that are like 100% actionary. I need to get this done. And then some of the other stuff that can be tabled and wait. And also like learn the balance of, hey, you've been working for 10 hours pretty much straight. Like you need to shut down. Like you need to be done here as best as you can. Because I think that's the hardest thing about being self-employed and entrepreneur is a lot of times you're eager, which is really great, but then there's not a great work-life balance.
Mhm. Right. So as you look back on the journey,
Mhm.
uh, what's a big obstacle that you had to fight through to either break through or go over or around that
Yeah,
where there was a lesson learned that others could learn from?
yeah. I think, you know, so I've kind of been in a space that's been run, coached a certain way for a very long time. So when you go into that space saying, hey, you can do it differently, I've dealt with a lot of resistance. And then also, showing face through the internet leaves the door open for opportunities for people to critique what you're doing all the time. And so the hard shell, hard skin is something that I still try to do. It's not always the easiest around other people's opinions of what I'm doing. But my why and how, like why I am doing it and how I'm doing it, it's always got to be bigger than that criticism. So there's definitely hard days. There's days where it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do it again. I don't know if I can like, rewrite something again or like have to structure this in a certain way without those people in the back of my brain telling me, what they think I should be doing. That I think most entrepreneurs have to just push through the mud a bit. There's going to be mud and you've got to just know why you're doing it and remember that on the hard days.
Okay. So what about team? As you built up some team from originally just you to now team.
Mhm.
So what are some of the things that you had to do to grow
Mhm.
as an individual to be a good manager, leader, and builder of a team and keep them together?
Yeah, I've really had to learn about how to like run a team. I've always been on teams, right? Like I was an athlete, I was a captain. I understand that leadership side of things. But as far as, money, revenue, delegating what is going to what department, who is making as much money, offering jobs, letting people go from jobs, all of that has been like a huge growth and a huge next step. So for me, I work off the team culture that I want people to be here, that want to be here, that obviously believe in the why. Because we're not a huge company, we're a small team, so they need to work well with the people within the team. And if someone is kind of like just not bringing what I would like them to bring to the plate, then we need to have a conversation around that. We need to address it. And if ultimately it's just not the right fit, it's just not the right fit. So we've done that internally, and then we've also done that externally with partners and different people that we've worked with through the years to see what is furthering our mission and works well with where the mission is going. Because my biggest goal with this company is to help as many competitive swimmers as possible in a positive way. So hopefully they get faster or they're happier with their results if the time isn't exactly what they were wanting. So it's a people relationship based business, which sometimes doesn't have like a monetary value to. And so I need the people that are in the seats driving the bus, right? They need to be here for the right reasons as well.
Okay. So you mentioned goals, and your clients, swimmers have goals for times, and they want to get. About your business, are you a goal setter in business? Obviously, you were an athlete, so I'm sure you were a goal setter as an athlete. But how about as a business owner? Are you a goal setter?
Yes, I would say that the goals were vague to start, but now every year, I've got an annual goal that I want to try to achieve and hit. I also have like products or whatever we are doing as far as the internal side of things that we are building out that I want to get done. And so I work off annual and then quarterly to-dos, and they kind of keep check as to how we're progressing based off of those stop points within the calendar.
Okay. So where do you see the business? What's your kind of 3 to 5 year goal? What's the business going to look like in 3 to 5 years?
So in 3 to 5 years, I think we're going to be probably threefold as big. So I'd like to have 30 to 40 people in. I would love to have more of me. So I am a coach too. So, we do go in person and we run swim camps and we do swim lessons. And as I said before, there's only 24 hours in the day. So if I'm doing marketing and I'm managing what's going on within our team, and then I'm flying to somewhere to like run a swim camp, it's just a lot that I've got juggling. So I'd love to add more people, not just internally, but also externally that can go out and help kind of spread the message of swim like a fish. So once again, we can improve the goal of affecting more swimmers positively as possible.
Okay. So you mentioned earlier culture, and that was really important to you. So what are some of the things you do to that you've done to build your culture and then to keep that culture alive within the business? Because that's a big thing.
Yeah, so I would say when I was younger, and kind of dipping my toes into managing, but still kind of figuring it out. I was always and can get very like into the weeds of what needs to be getting done, and I don't always see like the bigger picture, or maybe that like one small word, or that like there's like a mannerism type thing that was off with one of the employees. And so I spend more of my time like addressing the fires than before. I would probably be a little bit like naive to it, or like, I don't have time for that because I need to go deal with this, which then allows this little teeny tiny fire to start burning into something bigger. So I've spent more time with my workers one-on-one, doing individual meetings, making sure that their life outside of what we've got going on is in line with what we've got going on here. Sometimes people pull back as far as how much they can give within those conversations, or they say, hey, like I want to hit the gas pedal and I want to do more. But it's been on kind of unveiling my personal self to people I've never met in person, as we're all digital and we're all remote. And giving them a chance to just talk, so they know who I am as a person, not just who I am as a boss too.
That's awesome. I love that. So listeners, we've covered a lot of information here. Abbie shared a lot of little tips. So make sure you go back and listen to this. So now, Abbie, what I want to do is just last few questions. Kind of first answer off the top of your head would be best. And so the first is, what has been your key to success?
Consistency. Yeah, I would say starting is really, I think, one of the hardest things, but continuing is harder than that. And so, as I said, with the, social media and kind of the wild, wild west of the internet, I think it's really easy to be like, oh, that person said something not so nice about me. Like, I don't feel like doing it today. And then that snowballs into a week, 2 weeks, a month, etc.
Okay. So what's one piece of advice you would give to other aspiring business owners, entrepreneurs?
Um, I actually, someone said this to me really well yesterday, that with starting your own business, I think there are so many like business coaches out there, right? Like you're one of them. There are so many people that are like, oh, I can make a course for you, or oh, you can sell your videos, or oh, you can monetize this. That it seems so easy, but there still has to be a huge reason as to why you're doing it, because there's going to get a point where if you're selling digital content or you're monetizing through the internet, you're still grinding to make that funnel run. And if you are like dipping your toes in the water, but you're not 100% like focused and like invested in that process, it's going to show. So yeah, I'm at my best when I'm working for myself, and because I will stay up all night to get things done. Like my dedication is unmatched. And so I would highly advise people to make sure that their why is they're articulated, and then from there they can match it with a dedicated, consistent effort.
Okay, great. So what's one book that you're reading or listening to that you would recommend to other business owners?
Yeah, so I read a lot of different genres. So I'm always reading like some sort of training book that's more like exercise science, anatomy, that type of thing. I also really love self-help style, self-improvement books. I'm a big fan of those for like personal reflection and growth. And then I'm also reading a business book right now that's like the 10 biggest mistakes business owners make. And it's not a big book, it's not very long. It just stimulates my brain into thinking about how whatever this mistake is it translatable? Can it happen within our business? And hopefully some action steps to avoid it.
Okay. All right. So if I had a magic wand, by the way, I don't. But for the sake of this question, if I had it, what's one area of your business you would want to improve tomorrow?
Um, I would say probably the outcome, like the digital side, like once we've gotten everything done and we're ready to push something, making sure that the perfectionism side of me isn't like the one that's kind of halting or holding back the outcome from that release. I often find that I've got a really good idea. I think we execute well on the idea to get it done, and then we put it to the public, and I'm kind of like, there's a little bit of nerves. So I personally need to grow within that confidence. And then, yeah, you can magic wand some magic over here. That would be great too.
Okay, awesome. So before I get to my very last question of the day, so people can find you obviously on your website. Tell me about your social media. What's your what's your Instagram, Facebook? How do they find you?
Yeah, all my handles are a little bit different, just based off of who's has what handle. So my Instagram handle is at which is THE, the letter A, and then my last name is Fish, number one. And then Facebook is at Fish Swim Faster, and it's spelled out just like how it sounds. But if you go to our website, it's swimlikeafish.org. All of the social media channels, because we're on TikTok, YouTube, Threads, like you name it, we're on pretty much all of them, are connected through the website. So it's probably easiest to find the website, and my email is also there as well.
Okay, great. We want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to learn about you and just to learn these lessons. So last question for you today, Abbie. What inspires you the most right now?
Um, I think I'm the most inspired when I work with athletes and realize that, you know, even if my piece of their little pie, their pie is like a little teeny, teeny, tiny chunk, but I get the phone call or I get the text or I get the screenshot of this is what I did. It really motivates me to keep going. So when I know that the results are positive, it gets me up in the morning to be like, all right, another day, another grind, let's go. So yeah, it's got to be the athletes that I work with.
Okay, awesome. So this has been Abbie Fish, and we have learned so much about their business, Swim Like a Fish, their approach to marketing, putting a team together, creating a culture. I highly recommend that you watch this a couple times and take good notes to learn from Abbie. Abbie, thank you so much for being with us here today
Thank
and
you, Mark.
sharing your story.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
All right, so I'm Mark McNulty with Action Coach Bluegrass, and this has been the next episode of the Business Spotlight series. Make sure to subscribe and like us so that you can see futures, and make sure you share your learnings when you watch. I'll see y'all on the next interview. Bye.